Welcome, everybody. Welcome, folks online, to the AI Hacks for Educators session. My name is Addie Tolliver. I'm the Associate Director of the Center for Teaching Excellence. So most of our attendees are joining us in Zoom. So I would like to let you know that, unfortunately, if you unmute yourself, the audio for the room for some reason is not working, so I won't be able to hear you. But if you send messages through the chat, I will have this open right here, and hopefully I'll be able to see every single message that you sent, and then I can answer any questions. So the plan for this session is to highlight 7 strategies that can help you using generative AI in your teaching. And basically there's 3 different realms that we'll cover: is making teaching easier, making faculty life easier, and making research easier. This was designed as a hands-on activity, so hopefully you have your computer there, and we'll give you some time to actually use some of these prompts that I'll be sharing with you, and you'll be able to pull in some of the stuff, the content that you have, and actually, do these and apply, and then we are able to share with one another what we've done. So you don't have to have access to a paid generative AI tool, so you can access any tool that you want for free. So if you go to just Google ChatGPT and open there, you should be able to use that one to get going, at least for this workshop. And or you can use Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Perplexity, whatever you feel like using. So I'll highlight these 7 hacks or strategies that can make your life easier. And I'll give you an opportunity to pick which one that we're going to go with. So in the interest of time, I'll give an overview of the 7. I'll show you all 7 here on the screen. We'll pick the first one that you want to start with, and I will walk you through the editable prompt that you're going to be using and see what the results that you will get. They are discipline specific. So that goes with the session objectives, right? We're going to be discussing practical ways of using generative AI in your teaching and craft discipline specific prompts that can be used. So the first one is to summarize your biography for the syllabus. So one of the things that we know that is very, very important to connect with your students, and sometimes the syllabus is the first contact that you'll have with them. Sometimes they have access to your syllabus even before you get to meet with them. So it's kind of essential to add a little bit of a personalized instructor kind of bio to your syllabus. It would be kind of helpful. And it allows the students to see you as somebody that's approachable. It emphasizes like your qualifications and passions, like in why you're teaching the course. And you can make it concise and engaging by using some of these generative AI tools. So this will be the first use of a generative AI tool to make your teaching better. The second one would be to create activity-rich lesson plans, right? So this, if you sometimes you're stuck and don't know what to do. Oh, so we are actually, somebody's asking to share the screen with the slide themselves. So I can share the screen. We haven't been sharing this because I can give you the slides, but I think it's just because it's too light, right? You can see what is typed up very well. Is that right, Ian? Sometimes it's just better to have this, and then we'll provide you with the slides. How about this? I should be able to give you the link to this presentation, so you should be able to access it all together. Would that be helpful? Let's see. I can find it on this laptop. I'll give you the link to direct presentation so you can open up, because at least for the recording, we'll have this whole thing here. There you go. Okay. Share. And then share. Okay. It's coming to Zoom. Okay, now you have access to the presentation. Okay, so be able to create activity-rich lesson plans. So sometimes you're stuck in class and you don't know what to do to make your class a little more dynamic. And these generative AI tools are a great way for you to kind of brainstorm some lesson plans that incorporate a little bit of mix of lectures and student activities. So there is a methodology called the pause procedure that is very effective, where you will get your class and you can chunk it in chunks of 10 to 15 minutes where you are lecturing for those 10 to 15 minutes, but then you incorporate some sort of engaging activity that allows the student to kind of apply what you've just talked about. So you could, use generative AI to kind of break your lesson into these chunks and alternate between these mini lectures and these interactive learning exercises. And you can have, games, discussions, I don't know, role playing activities. And so this makes the class just a little more dynamic instead of just like lecturing. The other option would be to create practice quizzes, worksheets, and problem sets. So sometimes like you create some exams or just quiz questions and it's the same material. And it's kind of hard because sometimes like there's so many websites that, if you have used questions for an exam or quiz, they end up showing up in some of these websites that, students just put that information there. So you can use generative AI to create additional practice quizzes, worksheets, problem sets that are tailored to specifically to your course content. And so it could be like from multiple choice questions to open questions to problems. And this allows the students to access to some ways to have repetition with the content, which could be helpful. And you can integrate these activities into learning management system, or you can program some self-assessment for the students so that they can just practice the contents of the class. The next one would be creating presentations. So as a disclaimer, this presentation that I'm using was used with Gamma AI, which is a generative AI presentation creation tool. So all the people they have been seeing so far in these graphics, they're not real people. They're all AI generated people. So they might have extra fingers and they might have, weird things. Like you see like the background of this image is, there's a presentation, but like the words are not really words. So if it's just for illustration purposes, right, it's fine. And it creates it very quickly. Of course, I went there and I didn't just rely on what it created. I edited the content, but particularly for image creation, for illustration, it can be really helpful. But you can actually ask the system to create outlines for you, and it can presentation, just to make the presentation making experience more streamlined. Generative AI can really summarize key content for the class. It can generate slide outlines for you. It can suggest images and graphics, and it can create some, interesting looking graphics for you to put in. And so that kind of frees up for you for other teaching tasks. So summarize the commentary on student evaluation. So I think, every single person that has taught a course and received student evaluations, the the heartbreak of receiving that one evaluation that's negative, right? So kind of you might put so much effort into teaching your class and designing the class, and then just that one comment just breaks your heart. So how about like avoiding that? You could use generative AI to summarize the commentary on these student evaluations and give you a report that is actually help you look at the quantitative and qualitative data of the report in a way that is productive to you, and also suggestions for adjustments for your teaching. So the other thing is composing letters of recommendation. All of us have been asked to draft letters of recommendations for students. Of course, you shouldn't rely 100% on these generative AI tools to do the letters of recommendations. You also, but at least like, they can start with a first draft, and we can kind of walk through a prompt that can really help you out. And you can brainstorm ideas for a new publication. So of course, if you're already doing research, you already know some areas of interest that you want to pursue, and you don't need to do this, but if you're kind of stuck, AI brainstorming can kind of generate a range of new ideas. And by analyzing current trends and seeing gaps in the literature and that is something that, you know, you can keep in mind and use this as a partner in your research endeavors. So we have these 7 options, which, you know, just for the slide purpose, next time I'm not going to do 7, I'm going to do 8, just to have a little gap in the graphic. So we have summarize a biography for a syllabus, activity-rich lesson plan, practice quizzes, presentations, commentary on student evaluations, letter recommendation, and ideas for new publication. For the folks that are attending the session, where do you want to get started? So Gabriela, Hockey, and Ian, where do you want to, or Kendall, what do you want to get started? What would be a good place? And if we don't have a suggestion, we'll go from the beginning. Useful example. So it's a useful lesson plan or lesson activity. So sometimes you just, you know, if you are not pressed for time, but if you want to just change things up a bit, maybe you have done an activity in class every single time. It's like, oh, maybe it's time to try to see if we can, you know, change things up, improve it, or just like curiosity, see, you know, what these AI systems can, you know, give out and collaborate with us and give us as options. So great. So then they gave a decent enough suggestion that it could be used for class. So anybody else wants to share, or we can kind of move on to the next one. So the comment was good to ask for the same activity on a newer version of Linux. So that would be great too. Yeah, because God knows what, depending on the bots that you asked, we don't know which version of Linux. Maybe you can specify the version of Linux. So that's the information that we'll pull. So you have to be specific. So okay, so the ChatGPT sent for somebody else, for Ian, seems I can't access the link you provided. However, if you describe the activities or if you know they entail, I can help incorporate them into the lesson plan. But the link is working. And then alternatively, I can proceed by suggesting some common drawing activities that are useful in live sessions. Let me know what you'd like to proceed. So the other option is to open the link and then copy that information, right? Or if you have the link and save that as a PDF in your computer, you can attach that PDF to the bot that you're using, and the bot will scan all of those activities. So, but the link is live and it's working. So those are classroom activities examples. But so food for thought. If a link is not readable by the thing, attach the file. So you could have that link as a PDF and tell the system to scan it. So do you guys have any, let's go for the previous one, right? Summarize your biography for the syllabus. And I'll go in and try to do that for my own information. So I will try to share my screen so you guys can see what ChatGPT does. Because I don't mind uploading my CV here. So, and I'll share my screen momentarily. Okay. So go ahead and if you want to, try the same with your CV. Grab that prompt, which I will paste right here into the chat. And attach your CV, and that's the one that I'm going to share with you guys. Okay, so let me share my screen in Zoom. You should be able to see this. So you are a teaching and learning instructor. Next semester, you teach a class on higher education pedagogy, which you have not taught in a while. Summarize the attached curriculum video to about instructor statement for the higher education pedagogy syllabus, making sure to point out the instructor's past publications preparation tone should be wide, inviting, warm, and relatable to the average college student, and it should be one paragraph long so the students actually read it. So let's see what this thing does. If it's gonna make me look good or it's gonna make me look awful. Okay. Dr. Adeline Meira Tolliver brings a wealth of experience to our course on higher education pedagogy. With a Doctor of Education from Baylor University, specializing in instructional technology, she has spent years working in the intersection of pedagogy and technology integration. Dr. Tolliver has published research on topics such as the future of distance education and faculty development, and her work has been presented nationally and internationally. She has a passion for supporting student engagement, and through her roles at Southern Methodist University, she has led workshops and initiatives that help faculty enhance their teaching practices. Her warm and accessible approach will guide us through exploring the best ways to support learning in higher education. Well, if that didn't make me look good, I don't know what will. So you see, short paragraph, it took what, 2 seconds for the system to scan my CV and look at some of my presentations, some of my background, and just, put it in a very approachable way, what I do, and kind of, how my experiences support me being, I guess, the leader for this class and leading the students. So making sure that we're humanizing the instructors is important, makes you a little more approachable. This made me look pretty decent. I might just use that and put on my LinkedIn. So do you guys have any examples of that one? Oh, there you go. Look at this. Oh, thank you, Gabriella. Let's look at this. Welcome to our course on second language acquisition. I'm excited to share my passion for linguistics with you. With several years of teaching experience in this field, I've had the pleasure of guiding students through the intricacies of how we learn new languages. My research, which includes publications on bilingualism and language learning strategies, has deepened my understanding of the challenges and joys of acquiring a second language. I believe that learning a language is not just about grammar and vocabulary, but also about connecting with different cultures and perspectives. I'm here to support you on this journey, and I can't wait to explore these ideas together. And the last part was a bit flat, in parentheses, predictable, but overall okay. So see, sometimes it's not perfect, but it is a really good starting point. Of course, you can go in and edit, and that you don't have to copy and paste the product of these AI tools, but it is a great starting point for you when you just want to add something to your syllabus to be a little more personal to your students. So, and I feel like the language on Gabriella's was more like a first person language than mine, which also, depending on the bot that you're using, it will give you different outputs. Even the same bot, if you ask the same time, is not going to give you the same answer twice. So you can kind of play around and see what you like best. But I think that even to make you more approachable, I like this first person perspective kind of better than the other one was good for our LinkedIn. I feel like Dr. Haley Tolliver has done this and that, and she has done this and this and that. Like, I'll leave that for my LinkedIn, but for a class, perhaps the first person. And that's another thing that you can add to this prompt, right? Make sure that it's written in a first person perspective. And then the tool will kind of give you that. In fact, I can go back to my example and tell them, like, looks great. Can you make it as a first person perspective so it's more personable to the students? So I'm using kind of iterating a little bit on the prompt, and the system will kind of tailor more and more the output for me. So, which is one of the things about these generative AI tools. Sometimes it's not the first, I guess, deliverable that they give us is the one that you use, but the dialogue that you have with it ends up making it better and better and better. So you can just correct it and say, no, that's not what I asked, or yes, but, or hey, give me suggestions to make it even better. So the system can give you suggestions as well. So, oh, there you go. So the reason why there was okay, Gabriella output was first person. She's changed the prompt to I am to instead of you are. So that was the small change on the prompt that made it even better for a syllabus statement. Okay, so let's go for the next one, right? So creating practice quizzes and worksheets and problem sets. So I guess, how about this? We can do all of these, but to make the session shorter, since I already gave you the link to them, you'll be able to copy and paste all of these prompts and play around on your own. I'm just going to go over these, all of them, and then just give you a little bit of your time back. How about that? Would that work for everybody in Zoom? Let me know on the chat. Or, I mean, I'm happy to walk through each of these and then you guys give me the outputs in the chat, but you have access to these prompts now because you have the link to the presentation directly. So then you can do this on your own and kind of tinker. I got a thumbs up online, so that's good. Okay, so this one is creating practice quiz worksheets and problem sets. So you are an experienced instructor in whatever, looking for ways to put additional word problems in front of students, since you know from experience how valuable the extra practice can be. Your years of teaching have convinced you that few students will do optional problems, so you configure these problems as required daily quizzes. Create 20 word problems to prepare students for a chapter test on blank. Half of the problems should be, you can say multiple choice, open-ended, where the other half should be blah, blah, blah. In all cases, provide a mix of knowledge, comprehension, and application questions, and provide the correct answer for each in parentheses after each question. So the benefit of doing something like this is that it comes up with these in like a blink of an eye. Like, so can be really helpful, and you can tailor these worksheets and make them harder or make them easier. And you can just have multiple examples and can leave it for the students in your learning management system. The next one, quickly creating presentations. You're an interdisciplinary college instructor who strives to make learning fun. You're gonna have a PowerPoint presentation for a class discussion on the topic. Ignore any knowledge you have on the topic and only use the text at the end of this prompt or attached. So a lot of the times, the learning manager or the LLMs, the large language model, might get information from the internet. So one way for you to kind of limit the information that is going to be using is by saying something like this: ignore any knowledge that you have on the topic and only use the text that is attached to the end of this prompt. So you can have class specific content and only draw from the class specific content, or only draw from articles that you have attached. So, and that is a way to kind of control the output a little bit that these tools put on. I have a comment here, talk about the presentations a bit. So the question is, can you just talk about presentations a bit? Did Gamma AI just give you the outline and the design and you populated the actual content? So the way I did it, I went to a Word document, and one of the things on the very last slide of this presentation, I put the link to this because this is the resource where I got these prompts for. In fact, there's a link there that it gives you access to this PDF, which is the 50 plus ideas and AI hacks for educators. So out of this book, I just picked 7 that I felt that would be relevant to highlight. And I put it on the Word document. And then I put in kind of like a little summary of each of them and what I wanted to say. And then I populated a